With those removed. I know that's not an exact science, but still, we relied on Trey Palmer all of last season for our offense. That was half of Casey Thompson's passing yards were to Trey Palmer. So I think that's also something that people kind of need to take into account, because the turnovers last year, first 2 weeks, 2. This year, 8. Yeah. And that's been the difference. So that's why I think there's optimism. We're improving. It's just right now, we got to get the quarterback resolved.
Here was my immediate response when Jeff Sims transferred. And I'm sure I had this conversation here with Greg. I thought Casey Thompson was a better quarterback. Now, of course, it never crossed my mind to compare Casey Thompson and Jeff Sims before that, because there was no reason to.
Mm-hmm.
But now suddenly Jeff Sims is there. And now it wasn't like I thought Casey Thompson's Tom Brady and Jeff Sims is nobody. Like, there's no comparison. I didn't think that it wouldn't be a quarterback battle, but just based on watching both of them, not every week, but considerable amount of time, it was my impression that Casey Thompson was a better quarterback. Well,
we didn't see that in spring, though, because he was hurt.
Yeah, he was hurt. Yeah,
missed the whole spring, and that just put the writing on the wall.
And so I was a little surprised when the move was made and Casey Thompson left. And I thought, well, I didn't promote myself as some expert on either one of them. Just that was my impression, that Thompson was a slightly better quarterback. Now, obviously not nearly as mobile.
We both thought that Casey Thompson would be the guy and Sims would back him up.
Yes.
And that Sims would take the job next year. You know, that's what you thought. But
the last game that Casey Thompson played was against an Iowa defense that was one of the top 5 to 10 defenses in America, and he went 20 of 30 for 278 and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, even after that Minnesota game, a good friend of mine from high school texted me talking about why did we let Casey Thompson go, and he actually put up passing stats. And
I did the same thing. I tweeted out a passing stat comparison,
bro.
Now, to Justin's point, no Trey Palmer, but Casey Thompson did lead the Big 12 in touchdown passes the year before at Texas.
And 8 of his touchdown passes too last year were to Trey Palmer.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was almost half, I believe.
Sure.
Too. So just so
they don't have the firepower at receiver that, I mean, with
we had last year.
It's just it's not a good looking room right now. A lot of uncertainties. So yeah.
Which like I understand why we compare Georgia Tech Jeff to Nebraska Casey, but to me, unless there's the same receiver room or at least talent that's similar or improved, it's really just hard to compare them head to head, because we really don't know the progress that Sims has made, because I don't think he's had a chance to show it, just because that factor. And I think that's a lot of what has to do with it, is just the receiver room's injured. We have a lot of injuries. We have a lot of young guys. It's just a very young receiver group. And I think that's also what gives Matt Rule some confidence going forward, is that this receiver room is going to continue to develop and get better. But I think Marcus Washington has to kind of take the lead here and kind of establish himself as a one receiver in this offense.
Him and Billy Camp.
Yeah. Definitely. Billy. Yeah, exactly.
I will say that Jeff Sims threw a really nice ball, and the game was still in doubt. I don't remember. I know which side of the field they were running on, so it must have been the second quarter. And he drilled in a throw in tight coverage down the seam to Alex Bullock on like a 3rd and 8 or something. That would have been a 20-some yard gain that was dropped. Game was still in doubt. They would have kept the ball, converted around midfield.
Was that I know that Bullock also dropped one on a 4th and 20 at the end of the game. Was that at the end of the game?
No, the play I'm talking about, the game was still up for grabs. It was still.
It might have been that 4th and 20. I think I might just have a wrong idea but yeah, Bullock when he laid there on the ground, like when he dropped it, there was a couple of them that Bullock dropped in his hands, but I know the sideline throw he made was really good too. But I'm trying to remember exactly which one you're talking about. But there was a couple of those too. Yeah. So he's shown the ability to make some good throws.
Oh, absolutely.
And so
guys need to come through for him.
That also shakes his confidence because that also goes on him. The people, he still gets blamed for that.
Just with the territory. Yeah.
Yeah. So
this is what I didn't understand. And I jumped on here at halftime to give my amateurish offensive coordinator spiel on what I would do in the second half. So I in no way promote myself as an offensive coordinator, but I thought, okay,
just run the damn ball.
Well, it started with that.
We average over 5 a carry.
It's what, 13-0 at that point? I think it's 13-0. This is before Sims ran for the touchdown in the third quarter. It's halftime, 13-0.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, he's a mess trying to read this defense and deliver the ball downfield. Obviously, slam the ball straight ahead. This team gave up 8 yards per carry against TCU on the ground, number one. Number two, Jeff Sims had 19 carries. Now, I know a few of those were designed pass plays that he just took off and ran, but still, he ran the ball 19 times for 91 yards against the Minnesota defense that's a lot better than Colorado's defense. So I thought, I couldn't remember a designed run for him in the first half.
Yeah, they had 2 the whole game.
Yeah, that was I didn't understand that. I thought, especially after the touchdown run, that it was just going to be a heavy dose of that because, again, Sims can be one of those guys that wears the defense down. He's what, 6'4"? He's a big guy.
Oh, he's a big dude.
Him running into those smaller, defensive backs and
looks like Derrick Henry.
Yeah, he's a big boy. And then him running into the center of that line, that would have also been a chance to wear them down. But also, like, I think Anthony Grant should have got another shot in this game because I think
sorry to see him not get a chance to play.
I think his physicality would have made a huge difference in that game just because we needed to be physical with Colorado. And
there you go with Gabe Urban coughing it up.
Yeah. And then to Mark's point in that first half, I felt like coming into it, that might have been our game plan, was to pound the rock. But with the turnovers, it took us completely out of that game plan. And we ended up having to play from behind and we couldn't throw the ball. And so you kind of fight an uphill battle at that point when you can't get out of your own way and you're out of your game plan. I think
they had a couple of chances there to take command of the game.
100%.
And just do it.
Yeah. Our opportunity to take advantage of Colorado's, mistakes that they were making was the first half. We didn't. We turned the ball over and gave them 13 points. On the second half, Colorado took advantage of us making mistakes, and that was the difference. They took advantage of those opportunities, and we didn't. And it was a tale of two halves. I feel like we outplayed them in the first half and had nothing to show for it.
My third point in my offensive proposal there at halftime, run the back, Irvin, and then again, Sims, 19 carries against Minnesota. Where's that? Number 3, though, was you're going to have to throw the ball at some point, but make it all predetermined. Slip screens, delayed screens, just where he's not deciding where to throw the ball. It's predetermined.
Get it out fast.
That's fast, and that's who you're throwing to. You don't have a decision to make. A lot of that.
Been so slow developing. They need to just get him to get rid of the ball right away.
That's what he did with
right there, and everything is just developing way too slow, and just giving them the defense time to get into the backfield and disrupt everything.
Yeah, that's why I feel like Billy Kemp had success in the first half because they were just getting him the ball quickly and letting him work in space. I don't know why they didn't utilize him more because he had a really good first half and was barely utilized in the second. I think that's Billy Kemp's good role, is to get in that slot and hit him with something quick and just let him work in space.
Yep.
and that'll open up the outside and stuff, you know. So, but he flashed in that game for sure.